Well, good evening, everyone. We're getting ready for bedtime. We're preparing ourselves to get that great night's sleep. You know, that thing that we need to prepare us to be ready for the next day. And then, trouble begins. We don't get that good night's sleep. We have that restlessness. We're waking up every couple hours, every time we turn over. Maybe it's to run to the bathroom. Maybe it's just because, well, nothing. We're just staring at the ceiling. Well, tonight we're going to go ahead and we're going to answer some questions. We're going to give you some suggestions of 5 different ways that you can help yourself improve your sleep. Now, I'm just going to tell you right away, last week in our workshop, we did a whole conversation on picking out the right pillows. That'll be part of the suggestions later on. Well, listen, we're not going to spend much time on it. I'm going to refer you back to go look at picking the right pillow from our conversation last week to get more of that detailed information. So tonight we have that opportunity of really dialing into 4 different things that you can help yourself with. But listen, we have to understand. This isn't just for our chiropractic patients. This applies to each and every one of us. Does anybody not sleep? Well, no, we all sleep. Each and every one of us, just like each and every one of us should be using a pillow. Guess what? We only have 2 choices when we lay our head down to go to bed. We're either doing things that help us get that best night's sleep so that we're able to rest and rejuvenate the way our body's designed to, or we're setting ourselves up for failure. To wake up the next morning feeling drained, feeling lethargic, not having the energy that we're supposed to, dragging through the next day, and then finally collapsing the next night. Not in a good way either. So here's the deal. Tonight, you're going to hear these things. I want to hear what you're going to do to help improve your ability to get more out of the sleep that you're supposed to be getting. I want you to like this. When you like this, listen, more people get to hear this information. In fact, sharing this information on your Facebook page is one of those things that helps people around you. Your friends, your family members, just simply get the information they need. And we don't know how far-reaching it's going to be, but hey, listen, we all know people. You talk to them, they talk about how bad of a night's sleep is. Well, listen, maybe one of these 5 different things that they're going to hear tonight is going to help improve their ability to get that better sleep. And in fact, when we do not get that really great night's sleep, and the recommendation is that we're getting at least 7 hours of that restful, uninterrupted sleep. Well, without it, there's so many different problems that arise. And it's not a chiropractic thing. Those individuals who run the sleep studies and so many of the other sleep programs, they've come to understand. This affects everything from, our cardiac function, so blood pressure, regulation gets affected, your cardiac, system and how it works, to things like diabetes. They're more prevalent when you're not getting great sleep. And listen, you probably know people, just like I know people, who suffer with either cardiac or diabetic type conditions that could benefit from just simply hearing this information. Hence the reason why we ask you to share it. Now listen, there's a couple other things here that I think that we want to pay attention to, but because you know what? I recognize that these are things that a lot of people struggle with. The fact that they have difficulty when they don't get a good night's sleep focusing and processing ideas. That they have a difficult time losing weight because their system is set up for failure. In fact, when they don't have that great night's sleep, listen, there's an increased incidence of just getting sick and ill. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody who wants to just simply sign up for that program, that trio of things. Listen, nobody wants to get sick, but if we're not getting a good night's sleep, guess what? we are robbing our bodies of its ability to actually heal. Let's understand this. We're not going to overcomplicate it. When we sleep, we heal. When you're awake and you're at work or you're out in the gym or in the yard, guess what? You're breaking your body down. When you sleep, though, your body is rebuilding. It's using that vital energy to repair. Sort of like a grocery store at night. You know, you go into the grocery store at night, you know, if you've ever been there and they're a 24-hour grocery store, all the people are in there restocking all of the shelves, preparing for the next day. Well, it's sort of like what our body does. It's restocking. It's bringing all that good stuff back to where it's supposed to be so that you're ready to get up and go do it again. But let's just imagine that those stockers don't show up. Well, sooner or later, those shelves are going to be absolutely bare. And when those shelves are bare, guess what? Well, unfortunately, there's nothing to be done. In fact, everything comes to a screeching halt. So, a couple things that are within your control. And I love this because this conversation should hit home for all of you because it's all about you. It's all about things that you can control. And to start with, you can control that thermostat. You know, ideally, yeah, it's a really big range between 60 and 73 degrees. I'm just going to tell you, the cooler temperatures are better for you in order to help to facilitate that great night's sleep. See, the one thing is when our body gets overly heated at night, well, all of a sudden we start to do things like our body starts to sweat or perspire to try and cool our system off. Well, if we're bleeding off more liquid, more water from inside of our body, eventually we're going to be dehydrating the system. And when you dehydrate the system, not just your muscles, but your brain is losing that water. And our brain will eventually wake us up to search for that particular product. Just like if you're not consuming foods the way you're supposed to, yeah, your brain is going to wake you up, just like a bear, to go find food. It's amazing that inborn intelligence knows if you set yourself up for failure, guess what's going to happen? It's going to stop you from doing things and point you in the direction so that you can solve problems. In this case, hey, listen, a couple other things we want to make sure that we're preparing our body for, like making sure we're dimming down the lights, getting away from electronics. Listen, that might be your big takeaway. That in the end, you put your phone down 30 minutes before you go to bed. You stop using the computer, the TV, the iPad. Because here's the thing, when those products are emitting that blue light, what ends up happening is it's a disruptor of our circadian rhythm. It breaks down hormones within our system. And we want to recognize that you and I are in absolute control of those products. So therefore, whether we put them on night mode, whether we put them, face down, whether we just simply don't turn them on, guess what? All better choices. In the past, we've done entire workshops on just the electromagnetics that come off of these products and how they affect the circadian rhythm in our body. Yeah, they can affect us on a lot of different ways, including that blue light. So we want to make sure that we're limiting that as much as possible. And we want to make sure that we're maintaining a program or a schedule so that our body gets in rhythm. And that is one of those awesome things. Our body is on a system that it relies upon rhythm. Just like the flowers. The flowers in your garden. You know, when the sun comes up, those flowers open up, they bloom. When the sun goes down, they close up to preserve themselves. Our body is no different. It has a rhythm to it. And we want to maintain that rhythm as much as possible. One of the things that does affect that rhythm happens to be how we feed and how we fuel our body. Now listen, I recommend that we always have a very, very balanced diet. Fats are good. Carbs are necessary. Proteins have to be there. All of those things. But when we're consuming too many carbs, what ends up happening is it is a hormonal disruptor. And in turn, whether you're a guy or a gal, does not matter. As we disrupt our hormones, it's going to affect whether or not we can drop into those restful sleep cycles. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of different things that are going to do exactly that, but we need to make sure that we're maintaining proper levels within our diet. In fact, we want to make sure that we're consuming foods that are rich in magnesium, rich in potassium, because of how they help to facilitate the sleep process and the production of different hormones within our system. Now, if you're like most people, caffeine's not your friend when you want to go to bed. Now, there's some of us, listen, we can drink caffeine and turn around and fall asleep, pretty much while we're drinking it. That's not everybody. I have a friend that, listen, he tells a story of how he was served, a caffeinated coffee about a couple hours before he was supposed to go to bed, and he was just bouncing off the walls. And he knew that it was caffeinated because of the effect that it had on his system. Everybody responds differently. But we want to limit that caffeine intake as much as possible later in the evening to make sure that there's nothing that's going to inhibit our body from shutting down, sort of like a computer, shutting that system down in a programmed manner. Now, we mentioned supplements just a moment ago in the form of natural consumption, plants and vegetables that are rich in magnesium and potassium. Well, listen, our bodies aren't perfect. Our diets aren't perfect. So in turn, you know what? We might have to supplement with magnesium, 400 to 500 milligrams. Now, one of the things that for you guys, listen, magnesium is also used in stimulating, an increase in hormone production of testosterone. So we recognize that, this is one of those things that affects the hormonal system of our body. But not just magnesium. We want to also make sure of products like melatonin because of how they affect the production of serotonin in our brain. And yes, there's a lot of other sleep aids like valerian root. And valerian root is great in order as a natural sedative to just simply quiet the system down. But tonight we're talking more about the fact that how is it that we get that best night's sleep? And getting that good night's sleep means that we want to maintain that sleep pattern. And the melatonin is going to help us in the control or the stabilization of the serotonin within our system. Now, finally, there's that vitamin B12. And many of us are deficient in a lot of the B vitamins, B6, because it's water soluble, it just simply flushes out of our system. B12, we need because of how it supports the cellular function. Highly important when we start talking about sleep and our ability to sleep. Now, this is for many of you, this is something either you're going to love or you're going to shy away from. But we have an alternative. Now, lavender and Roman chamomile oils. Now, many of you, when you hear essential oils, you think of baths. That is one way of actually making sure that the body is being exposed to these. And our skin is one of those biggest organs in our system. 70% of what it comes in contact with, it absorbs, brings it into our body. So as we're utilizing those two oils, it calms the system. Now, for some of you, maybe you're saying, listen, I don't do baths. I don't want to lay there in some tub, Maybe some of you can't get in and out of the tub. Maybe your house doesn't have a tub. It's okay. One of the great things with essential oils is the fact that we can apply it to the base of our feet. it is one of the easiest ways of us absorbing oils into our system is to apply it to the sole of our feet. They're soft because of how the arteries and the veins come together. It's that area that turns the blood flow around, and it starts to draw the blood back into the entire system. Well, guess what? It's drawing those oils, the effect of those oils, into the entire system. So the wonderful thing is that we can apply it to the bottom of our feet throughout the course of the day if we choose to, at night before we go to bed, in order to help ourselves along the way. Now, number 5 is we need to make sure that we're changing some of our lifestyle. Too many of us are stuck inside. We talk about vitamin D3 production, okay, or use. It's that thing that we get from the sunshine vitamin, okay? It's wonderful. The best time to stimulate the body to produce vitamin D naturally is first thing in the morning. Getting outside. Now, if you have one of those jobs where, listen, you're at work before the sun rises, you're there after the sun goes down, guess what? It's called a happy light. We'll make sure that, you know what, we put in within the link below some information about the Happy Light where you can get it simple and easy. The Happy Light is one of those products where, listen, you know what, it's simple, it's easy, you just simply plug it in, you turn it on as you're getting dressed, you sit with this thing bathing you for about 30 minutes. You're going to do it from either the time that you get up to about noontime, don't go past noontime, because it's going to have that great positive effect. After the noontime, listen, the tendency is it might keep you up at night. That's not what we want from it. But you know what? You want to use that to your benefit. Same thing with meditation, with prayer. Listen, these are amazing ways of calming the system down. We're all the same. We have busy lives. Every day has things that bring stress to us. Whether we talk about mental, physical, emotional, these are real. And in turn, we need to develop our own coping mechanism to help us overcome those things. The amazing thing is all of this is within your means. And that's a great thing, that you're not dependent upon anyone or anything to help yourself. Likewise with this last suggestion, move your body. Oh, there's far too many of us who are too sedentary during the course of the day. We are not burning off enough energy during the course of the day to force our body into a sleep mode. See, we all look at our, those little kids and we say, well, they have attention deficit, they're hyperactive, they're just full of energy. Well, listen, you and I are big kids. I don't care whether we're 10, whether we're 50, whether we're 80. We need to expend energy to make sure that we're getting to that place where our body is ready to drop into that sleep mode. Yes, by moving your body, it has a wonderful effect. Not only to exhaust that energy, but listen, your muscles happen to be one of those great, huge organs that you have that enable you to stimulate hormone production. Serotonin is one of those hormones. We need to make sure that we're stimulating those things by actually utilizing exercise. Now finally, we need to make sure that we're setting ourselves up physically in bed properly. We talked about the pillows. We talked about making sure that you get the right size pillow for your head, whether you're a side or a back sleeper. One of the things that we didn't get to talk about is the pillow between your knees that's supposed to be there. Hey, listen, we want our body to be in as neutral and as restful of a position as we possibly can get it. And that means setting ourselves up for success. We need to do it. If you're not setting yourself up for success, you're setting yourself up for failure. And any of you who have had low back pain or neck pain, listen, you know that when you're in pain and you've done something to provoke it while you're sleeping, you're going to wake up. You're going to be awoken and you're going to be staring at the ceiling. I can still remember after my car accident having those moments where I positioned myself as much as I possibly could to the point where I was not in pain so that I could get that sleep. But if I moved just a little bit, if the pillow came out from between my legs, the sad thing was that pain, like a knife, just came right in and woke me up immediately. I know you're not any different than me. And in turn, our body will give us those signals if we're not in that great position. So by creating this great sleeping position that we need, we help to ensure that our body will keep us in that restful state as long as possible. Now, yes, number 5, that last and final thing, make sure that you're getting adjusted. It's one of those things, listen, it's not going to just simply help you get out of pain, but it's going to remove stress out of that nervous system. That key ingredient. Because let me tell you, when stress is within your nervous system, our nervous system can't relax. And in turn, oftentimes, this is one of those things that most people miss. Now, I'm delighted that many of you that are watching this video, you're already doing this. You're already in the process of improving that curvature in your neck. Because when that neck is improved, it takes pressure off your brainstem, which in turn allows for your system to shut down easier and stay asleep for a longer period of time. I know far too many people, they have never stopped to just simply get their system checked. And yet, that's one of those things that if we want better sleep, we need to make sure that we're doing, that we're testing our system. So my ask of you, number 1, like this video. Number 2, I want to hear from you what you're going to be doing to help improve your sleep. Even if you're not having a problem, how it is that you can take that sleep and you can dial it up from being at an 85 and 90 to bringing it closer to that 95, 100% effectiveness that we should all be striving for. And finally, sharing this video. Share it with your Facebook friends so that they can learn, like you know now, 5 ways of getting better sleep. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.